tell you about Studio AA, I have to tell you a little bit about myself. So I run it like a business because that's really where I come from. I didn't particularly go to college to be a teacher. I knew I always wanted to teach, thought it'd be fun to teach, so I taught about 18 years ago for MATC, which they now call MTech. But everything else that I've done, and even then, I've really been in a kind of a professional career. So I had my own recording studio for a while, and then I ran the TV channel here in town called Spanish Work 17. Now back to Studio ALA. So I run this like a business, and I have you guys actually run it as if you're running a business, and you guys actually run it. So I'm going to have 3 of you be staff management, which means one of you will be the studio manager. Oh, we're going to call this a recording studio. So some of you said, what is digital audio? It's like we're going to run this like a recording studio, which was really what my first profession was. I ran a couple of recording studios before I started getting into video. So it's almost like we're running a recording studio, but there's also other applications with digital audio that aren't specifically like a recording studio, and we'll explain that a little bit. So there will be a manager, an assistant manager, and an assignment desk. And they run this like a business. And the manager has the authority, as I say, with a little bit of a smile, to fire you. Okay? So I'm kind of like the general manager, and once in a while, when you just do something stupid like you eat a candy bar and throw the wrapper on the floor, I'll say, who did that? And McKay will say, oh, sorry, Mr. Walker. And I'll say, you're fired. Does that mean you go to the principal? No. I can honestly say in 5 years of teaching, I've never had to send anyone to the principal. Come pretty close. Usually we just talk it out or else I knock them out, but I don't have to ever send anyone to the principal. Okay, so you will start the meeting, you'll start the class as if it was a staff meeting, and you'll say, okay, this is what we're doing today, and then they usually turn the time over to me, and I come up and I teach a little bit. And I'm going to give you study guides, and I'll show you what a study guide looks like. Oh, I should actually start by saying this. This is the very first year there has been a digital audio class. And the way that came about is because I was teaching radio, but I found out that there were only, well, there's actually 3 high schools that have an actual radio station. And that's because it's been around forever. Orem High School is one of them. Oh, did you see what I just did? Try not to do that, by the way. That's a tip. You're not supposed to touch your mouth, your nose, or your eyes in case you put your hand on a door and someone had the coronavirus. That's going to be hard for me because I'm always touching my face.
Yeah.
I didn't say picking my nose. What did you just hey, there's Richner. How you doing, Coach? All right, good to see you. He used to be my next door neighbor. He's our basketball coach. Let's see. So I was talking about how digital audio started. So there were 3 radio stations, and that was probably more than half of everyone that was even teaching radio. Because if we're actually teaching you skills that you're going to go on and use, very few students were going to go work at a radio station. So I told the state that the state education board that radio really isn't much of a thing anymore. Now, when I was growing up, radio was a pretty big deal. Everyone listened to radio. Well, actually, let me ask you that. Who actually listens to the radio, like in their car or whatever? Okay. And let's just have for fun here, let's check it out. What do you listen to when you listen to the radio?
Music.
Yeah, okay. How about you?
Music, and sometimes I also just listen on like what's happening in news and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Music and sports radio.
Yeah. All right, good. So if you don't have another choice, which is obvious to you, you might turn on the radio in your car, but that's about it. There was a time, if you can imagine this, in like the 1930s, 1940s, when that was the main source of entertainment. And people would listen to radio dramas as well as music, and the family would all, after eating dinner, they'd gather around the radio. They had this big kind of wooden looking thing. I don't even know how to explain exactly. Half the size of a desk, maybe, would be a good way to explain it, with a speaker. And they'd turn it on, and they'd have to fine-tune it and find the right frequency. And then they'd listen to like a radio drama, either for a family or like a mystery. There was a famous one called The Shadow. And it would always start out this way. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. He was like a Batman character. So they would do a radio drama. Well, now, I'll bet almost no one, well, unless you listen to audiobooks that have a full cast dramatization, I was going to say, I'll bet you almost nobody listens to, it's basically like a stage play, except for it's just for your ears, you're not watching anything. Anyway, so I told the state, sorry that was a long detour, I told the state that audio is hot. There's a lot of uses for audio, and podcasts are really hot right now. Audiobooks and podcasts are pretty big. And music, right? I mean, I love listening to music. I still turn on the radio and listen to music, but radio itself is not that big of a deal, and almost no student is actually going to go on and work at a radio station. So they came up with the idea, well, let's teach digital audio. Let's teach audio for every application that there is for audio. And then this last, basically, it was about the same time as school shut down with coronavirus. This last spring, we created the course. And it was about the first week of June that the course was really done, and we created a state test. And I was talking to Mrs. Searle, and she said, "What's this digital audio?" Because I put down that I was willing to teach it. After all, I helped create it, about 3 other guys. And I said, "Well, that's what this is, but I don't think it's ready to go yet." She goes, "Okay, well, let's not worry about it then." I go, "That's fine. Maybe next semester or maybe next year." And then I come back from a family vacation, and I think, I might as well check my emails. And here's your course offerings. I click on this, and it says I'm teaching digital audio. What? How'd that happen? But that's cool, because I like it. All right, so that's how we got to digital audio, and that's what we're going to do. We'll talk about all kinds of applications of audio. And if you like music, we'll talk, you'll be working mostly with recording music or even performing. Does anyone here like to sing? A little bit? Okay. Does anyone here play a musical instrument? All right. What do you play?
Guitar.
I thought that's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember you. Didn't you bring one in one time?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did jazz band for a little bit.
Cool. So we might record him playing. Was there anyone else did you say you did, McKay? Does anyone else play a musical instrument? Okay. So we might bring in, I think we're missing a couple of students, I just don't know if they're online or not. So we might bring in Nate on the guitar and Mike his guitar and see what it's like to record him playing the guitar. And then if you have a friend that plays or sings, we might bring them in and we might have them sing. It'd be kind of fun. Is there anyone here that actually listens to a podcast? You do? Okay, cool. All right. So maybe that's something you'd be interested in. And we'll talk about other careers, but I'll just kind of move on for now. So, that was the other thing, striking morning announcements. So we do the morning announcements in 1A and 2A, which is what we are, we strike them. And I might be changing this up a little bit. Nate and I are actually going to work this weekend on how we want to set things up in here. Very, very likely, we're not going to have a classroom like we have right now. Very likely, I'm going to move these tables and have the computers already facing basically the screen. And very likely going to move the projector screen over there a little bit. And we'll just have an area which will double as the classroom. This is just the way I inherited. This is the way we've done it for many years. But we start in here, then we end up working on our computers or other things. I think I'm just going to say forget this. So you'll see next Monday if I've changed it up. But very likely we'll have these tables just kind of facing the screen, and that, Nate, will also determine whether or not we have to strike everything or just some things. But by striking a set, what we have is we have this anchor desk out here with the news anchors doing their thing. We have the flag out here. We have the lights around them. We have the cameras filming them. We have the teleprompter. And when you guys come in, we play the announcements. Very first thing we do is we watch the announcements in this class. And actually, probably what we'll do is we'll strike first. So the very first thing we do is we strike the whole set, and everyone has a position. I put away the teleprompter. She puts away the cameras, that kind of thing, right? So that's what that is. We strike the morning announcements. And then we watch the morning announcements on YouTube. And then one of you will be the station manager, and then you'll conduct the staff meeting, and then you'll turn time over to me to teach. And that's where you get study guides, and we go through close to a page of a study guide talking about what we're doing. You learn that, and then once a week there'll be a quiz based on what you learned. So when we pick a computer, we'll be sitting one apart. All the computers are the same. We'll do that in a second. I put down there tour of Studio ALA and the equipment. So this door over here that looks like it goes into a closet is actually our sound booth. Right now I've kind of used it to put a lot of our microphone stands in. There's a keyboard in there. A lot of our mics. That window goes into another room. I'll explain in a second here. So this is very padded. It's a padded cell, and therefore it drowns out a lot of the audio. And then over here, these windows here are from another room we call the control room. And in this control room we have a lot of equipment that we run for the television station as well as for the audio. That audio mixer right there. There's a lot of cables that are getting moved around as we're kind of readjusting equipment for this year. So that audio mixer there brings the microphones in. The signal is sent to an AD converter, and then it goes on to the computer, which is where we have Adobe Audition, the Adobe Audition application. And there's some more audio gear there. So this is the control room, and then that window there leads into the, or at least so you can see it's double pane glass, but it's so that you can see into the sound booth. So we have curtains in this room which make it nice, and the sound booth is full of acoustic foam. And so this room doesn't really echo like a racquetball court. The way you always test it is, at least everyone that's a sound engineer like I am. But if you're in a racquetball court, what do you think it would sound like if I did this? Right? You just hear echoes forever. So this is actually a pretty good room. I think that's pretty much it for the tour. Why don't you guys, I got to take a roll anyway. Why don't you guys pick a computer that you want to sit at? Go sit there. I'll write you down on what computer it is, and then I'll kind of have a seating chart. And then very likely, like I say, that will be the seating chart.